Let's go! Tennessee fans, we have been through so much together just to watch it all go up in flames. You draw the hardest first-round matchup here, and Jeremiah Smith already cooked you for a touchdown. And honestly, where this game really started to fall apart for Tennessee offensively, and obviously we focus mostly on offense here on Power Hour SEC from a Tennessee perspective, where your offensive tackles, right? 74 has just been an issue all season. Here he is on the ground. Obviously, he gave up a really bad sack to Sawyer a little bit later, and now Nico's running for his life. Now, was there anything open? They do a lot of these kinds of you run here and then you're running a dig behind it. It's hard, right? Especially if there's a guy right in your lap. Obviously, for a good chunk of this game just came down to Nico making a lot of plays with his legs. And that's exactly almost what happened here. The fact that he even turned this into something is crazy, but now you have to punt. Ryan Day, they just killed you with these split zone actions, right? They got Ibuka with the big one. And obviously, Jeremiah Smith is just far superior to any wide receiver that you have. The gap in wide receiver talent in this game was a chasm, right? With Ibuka and obviously Jeremiah Smith on one side. And on the other side, Brew McCoy, who's fine, and of course a bunch of just not good. So a little cat and mouse here. Will Howard checks into something, and it looked as if this was going to be too high coverage. As many of you know, Tennessee loves to play a lot of middle of the field closed coverage. So what does that mean? Well, if you're going to do this pocket of space is going to be open, and you'll see that 7 is communicating something that he's blitzing, or should the safety be keying in? I don't know. But I don't know what this call was, but this pocket of space is wide open. The way that this safety fans out here makes you think that this is middle of the field open coverage, and 9 should have had far more depth right here on the deep over, and this is just too easy, right? It's you're honestly just giving the game away. This is really, really, really bad coaching and execution. No pressure really at all. Actually, you have a lot of pressure. Right tackle gets tripped up on right here, and it still doesn't matter. Will Howard with plenty of time to throw a very easy read, right? And this honestly wasn't the best throw in the world, and it almost still was deflected. It was a good job by 9, who's a big hitter, to almost come back and strip this ball. And guess what? Ohio State jumps out. Okay, here we go, 2nd and 11. And Ohio State defensively just honestly capped so many of these Tennessee routes. So you're running a shallow drag here. Look at the safety. He's just sitting right here waiting for it, okay? So it looks like everything's covered. Once again, I can't see from the backside here. But you have a twist stunt where Lance Hurd is giving up a lot of pressure. The twister is basically untouched, and there's really nowhere for Nico to go. And this is an ungodly amount of yards lost on this sack, okay? Big disaster play where Nico, I think, could have done a better job. And honestly, Ohio State just kept spamming Tennessee with this. And once again, you're giving the game away. Obviously, Tim Banks was brutally outcoached in this game. The problem is Will Howard is not that good of a quarterback. You just gave him a bunch of easy completions, right? A bunch of easy reads. That's not what you want to happen. Now, is there a little tug right there that probably should have been called? Sure, okay? But still, yeah, massive problem for Tennessee. You know your DTs have been so good this year. They really have. But in this game, they got bullied, okay? 51, who's a good player. He is a good player, as many of you know. Gets taken down to the ground, okay? Pierce probably should have, I know he has contain right here. He probably should have done a better job right here to retrace your steps and help out. But he's kind of cut off by the guy who's, on the ground, 51. So this opens this gap so unfreaking believably wide open, and now it's just off to the races, okay? That's on 51. You got to keep your feet, especially when you're going up against 2 big-time NFL running backs. And guess what? Ohio State walks in for another easy touchdown. Okay, 3rd and 10. And even with the QB spy, Nico was able to outrun a really good defensive end in JT, who's a 5-star. And to start this drive, you had a zone read pull for a huge gain of yards. Now, Nico does a good job, obviously, picking up these yards, and this is a ridiculous bit of guile. Hard step to the right, cut back to the inside, and pick up the first down. All right, you could simply make this first half a game of individual alignment on both sides of the ball, just getting their butts kicked. So you'll see right here that the right end has a really late jump off the football, and they're late getting into their stances, okay? Now, watch what happens. Late get off, you've got to keep your feet. You can see he kind of slips, and when you slip like this, you can't cross face, right? Obviously, your gap is this inside B gap, but what you want to do is keep your feet, hold your gap, and then cross face to help out. But when you lose your footing, it cuts off other players, and you can't help out with the run fit, okay? So linebacker presses, but because this guy is on the ground, it just opens up that much more space for a running back to run through, okay? All right, we're going to cut this play short right here. Once again, it's still split zone, right? So what is split zone exactly? Normally it's with the tight end. It's just a guy going across directly behind the line of scrimmage and taking in a reception. That's basically what it's all about, and it's really hard to sort out if it's a receiver doing it. Okay, and look, that's just too much space. And then you get to this ridiculous play from 35. Brooks, I've had to call his name so much this year. So many pick sixes. The Kentucky play was basically a pick six as well, and that's just a ridiculous INT. Good stuff. All right, so we get to here. Really, really, really good stuff from Nico, and this is basically what the Tennessee offense is. Putting defenders into conflict, okay? So you have a cloud corner right here. You're just reading this corner. If the corner presses down on this little stop right here, you throw this corner right here. This is difficult, all right, because the corner is bailed out. So the safer throw is right here. But look at the loft. Look at the ball location right here from Nico. Y'all, that is such elite QB play. Wow. All right, so this was the story of Squirrel White's season. All right, rarely making the difficult catches, but he finally makes one, but eventually gets hurt. Now, I hate the fact that he got hurt. Obviously, you want all players to come back. As you can see, this was a very nasty, nasty way to go down. You can see his right knee really did get pinned right there, and he's hurt, right? You would have thought that this guy would have had a big season. It wasn't a big season, and obviously he didn't return after this. Yeah, where Nico really ran into issues, and this didn't shock me watching him all season, on the road, it just seemed he predetermined where he wanted to go with the football more often than not. And I think that's why you had a lot of Nico scrambles. Some of it obviously was bad protection. This kind of protection really isn't that bad. He just decided pre-snap, hey, I'm throwing this football to Brew McCoy, and that's obviously not where you want to throw it. Kitzelman ran a nice little whip route right here. This is where you want to go with it, and he gets bailed out by a really bad roughing the passer penalty. It's a knuckleball that one who's a good player makes an INT for, but once again, penalty saves you. All right, so guess what Tennessee decided to stop doing? Stupid man coverage, right? You're just not going to beat these Ohio State receivers in man. All right, so you run zone. They had been defeating you on split zone, kind of quick stuff. So get back in the zone, get exotic, and guess what? You're going to stop them. All right, I understand that sometimes means having your best pass rusher drop into the flats, but so be it. Okay, you get a stop right here, and you're able to force a punt. Now, you would have liked to have seen that tackle be made, but this honestly is a really good job by Pierce sticking with it and forcing him to go down short of the line to gain. And now we finally got to see the Tennessee offense hum. Now, is this a little misleading? Yes, because Ohio State played a little bit of keep away here. Up 21-3, you don't want to give up a quick tutty, and you have a really good red zone defense. So, yes, I do think Ohio State's defensive philosophy to let them play pitch and catch was a little too soft in this scenario, but that's what happened. Alrighty, so it was a disastrous night for Dylan Sampson, right? So he gets banged up. Y'all, Dylan Sampson scoring this. I've watched too much good football with him this year. And right here, obviously, it's not Dylan Sampson. You got really good blocking on this 4th and 1. And guess what? Lance Hurd has a good block on 5-star Jack Sawyer right here. Kitzelman, perfect. You just need 18 to find a way to make Caleb Downs miss. This is what you hope for in the playoff, right? At this Dylan Sampson, arguably the best running back in Power 4 football, going up against the best safety in Power 4 football, arguably in Caleb Downs, but this wasn't Dylan Sampson, so Downs makes this play. If he doesn't make this play, it's a touchdown. So huge play right there by Caleb Downs. Obviously, Ohio State still playing very, very, very conservatively here. And yeah, I mean, look, that's the only reason that this was just so unfreaking believably wide open. Thornton was just a non-factor, and some of that was protection issues, some of that was Nico issues. But man, I mean, this playmaker is so ridiculous. He's been the big play guy for Tennessee all season long, and he steps up here. And let's just keep it a buck. Ohio State's guys just make plays. I mean, look, everybody's blocked. Everybody's picked up, okay? But Sawyer reads this really quickly, almost picks it off going the other way. They were just all over just Tennessee all night. Nothing was easy. And basically, this was the game for Tennessee. Quarterback run game with Nico. And, you know, as you move forward, if you guys watch my Vanderbilt film study, what did I say? Your offense during the playoff was going to be Nico running. And that's all it was in this postseason. Your lone postseason game, his legs were everything. Then you get to hear, man, really good play call from Josh Heupel. Just go straight up quarterback sweep. You love to see it. Obviously, this was the only offense you had all game, but you'll take it. Okay, so we get to here, and we'll just kind of wrap it up. Let me know what you guys want to do. Would you like to see a part 2 film study? Now, let's start with something that you have to understand when you are on the road. Remember earlier you had struggles keeping your feet? You don't get the 50-50 calls when you play road games, all right, especially if you're going up against a big brand like Ohio State. This is a bad misholding call right here. This is really, really, really bad, okay? Like, very bad. That stops this, okay? Now, you shouldn't still be giving up the edge this early or this easy, and this is really sloppy run fitting right here. You have to do one of two things. You either have to have Pierce go underneath this puller and you kill and spill and this linebacker spills over the top, or Pierce has to box this puller and force this to stay to the inside. But you see, they stack and they don't play this well at all. But you still need that holding call to be called. All right, that doesn't change the outcome of this game. I think overall the officiating was fine. You just got your butts kicked. I mean, there's no other way around it. This obviously wasn't Heupel's best game, but let me know if you guys want to see a second half film study. Please comment below. Alrighty, Tennessee fans, you've got to comment below. Let me know if you want to see a part 2. We are doing a giveaway. Let's give out this Brew McCoy rookie card as he played in his final college game. I know that's one of the Tennessee favorites here, but guess what, Tennessee fans? We have grown together on Power Hour SEC. I don't want this to be the end, so let me know what offseason content you would like to see. But if you want to see a second half film study, comment below. For me, this was some bad luck, right? This was a Ohio State team that was underseeded. Obviously, a loss to a Michigan team that they had no business losing to, and their only other loss was to the number 1 seed. So you got a little unlucky that you drew, to me, the second best team in this field. It's just bad luck. And I want to show a lot of love to the Vol fans that made this trip. I know it was brutal. To see Josh Heupel, coach a bad game, I was very shocked. Obviously, we'll get to some of it in the second half film study. But right here, if you're down by 11 and this field goal kicker's out of the range that he's normally kicking from, I think you do have to have somebody under the goalpost to return this, especially knowing how overmatched. You really have to do, everything you possibly can to give your team a chance. But this is a God's honest truth. If you've watched every single game this season, you knew that the 10-2 record for Tennessee was a little misleading. Obviously, the Alabama victory was very good, but obviously you didn't do well in your 2 games versus obviously the 5-star teams, and you avoided quite a few of the better SEC teams this year. And even in those other games, you weren't really all that dominant. So this team wasn't as strong as its record said it was. So you're probably a little bit further away, at least with this roster, than you probably thought going into the season. I hope you don't take that the wrong way, because I try to be as objective as I possibly can. But, I do want to bring up a question. Let me know if you guys think Nico is the real deal. Is he the right quarterback for a college football playoff run? I thought overall there wasn't a whole lot he could do, but let me know if your confidence is a little shot with him in this game. So, part 2 coming up soon. Let's do it. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight we are doing pizza.